A stooped old man with thinning hair trudged about 1.5 miles every weekday morning from the Watergate apartment complex on the Potomac River to 13th and I Street Northwest in downtown Washington, and then returned toward evening. His small office, given to him by Corning Glass, on whose board of directors he had once served, came with a secretary who later recalled that he stayed in his own space, and most mornings came into the office with his head bowed. Sometimes the old man was recognized by other pedestrians or denizens of office buildings along the way. One of us, William Taubman, saw the figure frequently passing near the New York Times Washington bureau, some doing double-takes to see if it was really the man they had seen so often on television and newspaper front pages in years past. But he paid no attention to those who noticed him. Staring straight ahead, he looked, according to one observer who knew him and at once struggled to keep up with his fast, power-walking pace, like Ichabod Crane, hunched over, old and shaky, wearing a shabby trench coat with its belt hanging down. He was not only well into his 80s, he was depressed. More than anything else, he was tormented by trauma that had occurred nearly 3 decades earlier, by his failure to master the biggest challenge he had ever faced. Throughout his life, he had surmounted almost every challenge he had encountered, but not this one. It was the big, heavy albatross around his neck, his second wife later recalled, and he couldn't get rid of it. It was suffocating him. It was killing him. In his last years, Robert S. McNamara was not the man the world knew at the height of his fame when he was U.S. Secretary of Defense and the dominant figure in the cabinets of Presidents John F. Kennedy and Lyndon B. Johnson, nor the man who was president of the Ford Motor Company before being summoned to Washington in 1960 by Kennedy, nor he who led the World Bank from 1968 to 1981 after leaving the Pentagon. During those years, especially during his time at the Defense Department, he seemed brilliant but distant, cold and arrogant, a computer with legs, as Senator Barry Goldwater once dubbed him, a man who presided over much of the Vietnam War, in which some 58,000 Americans and millions of Vietnamese died. As early as 1965, McNamara had ceased to believe that war could be won militarily, but he continued to manage the conflict as Johnson's principal wartime advisor, rather than urging the president to exit it. He chose not to resign, with or without a howl of protest, and then mostly refused to talk about the war for nearly 2 decades afterward.